Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me, your host, Tommy Gilbert, as we sit down and take a behind-the-scenes look into Titan athletics with weekly interviews with coaches and athletes. This is Titan Table Talk. Good afternoon, Titan family and Titan fans, and welcome once again inside the Ames Library for Week 3 of Titan Table Talk here in the fall of 2023. We'll be joined first today by Illinois Wesleyan head football coach Norm Eash, and a little bit later by Titan volleyball player Lilly Summers and golfer Emma Thorman. Coach Eash, good morning. Good to see you again this week. Titans obviously had a tough matchup with Wheaton on Saturday, CCW and potential national title contender. How'd you feel like it went overall?
Well, first of all, we have to take a step back and look at the situation. We knew that the first part of our schedule was going to be extremely difficult. We played two great teams in Central of Iowa and Wheaton College. We were excited to play the first conference game. We felt confident, and we had to correct some things from the first game, and actually we came out and the first quarter I thought we played very, very well. We just couldn't sustain that, which is a little disappointing, but a lot of that has to do with Wheaton being a great football team, and again, we made a couple errors and didn't control field position and momentum, and they got a lead on us.
Yeah, and we talked about some of those adjustments that you wanted to make last week after the opening game against Central, and you could really see a lot of it in the first quarter. Offense came out and opened the game with a 13-play, 54-yard drive, ended in a field goal, but had a chance to punch it in down there at one point, held a powerful Wheaton offense to just one score in the first quarter, and you felt like you were in that game for a while.
Yeah, I mean, when you go, we took the ball, actually. The first game we deferred the toss and put our defense out there first, and we felt like we wanted to go on offense and try to sustain a drive, and we did, and that was very encouraging and a little disappointing we couldn't get the touchdown versus the 3 points. You always want to get points on the board, but a touchdown there would have changed the momentum a little bit. And then I was hoping that our defense would, get the ball back for us because we felt like we were pretty confident at that time, and they took it down and scored and got on top. And then it was kind of back and forth. There was a couple of key things. We threw another interception, which is really tough, to give the ball back to them, and a couple of field position things we didn't manage very well, but. Again, Wheaton's a really good team. I mean, they have probably one of the best running backs in the league in Weeks, and as you can see, they rushed the ball pretty well on us all day.
Yeah, and when you have a back as talented as Weeks and an offensive line that's as big and physical as Wheaton's is, there's going to be weeks like that in the ground game for sure. Looking back at your offensive playmakers, again, we talked in the first week about trying to replace Charlie Hamilton. We saw one of the explosive plays that Miles Key is quite capable of making later on in the game when he maybe had a yard of separation on a catch about 15 yards down the field and was just gone after that for a 43-yard touchdown catch, had 7 for 79 on the day. A couple of big plays from Trey Moore as well, 91 yards and a score on 2 catches. You're looking forward to seeing those two and the rest of the pass-catching group continue to develop as you maybe get some slightly more favorable matchups over the next few weeks?
They're both very dynamic players. We call them playmakers. They're very similar. They're both smaller receivers but have extremely good speed and quickness. And so if you get them in the open field, anything can happen. And at that point, it was Zach Hines that came in because, Jay Lemonade hurt his shoulder, and Zach came in and threw 2 touchdown passes and did a lot of nice things for us. But Kevin Graham also is a playmaker for us. We got to get the ball to him. But again, I thought our running game was a little bit better, but we have to establish that in the future, which will really open up the passing game even more.
Yeah. And when taking that tack and talk a little bit about the quarterback situation, obviously Jay Lemonager came out midway through the second quarter with a shoulder injury, as you said. Hines took ball the rest of the way. He had the one touchdown pass on, I believe, the only play he played against Central on a short-lived injury for Jay. Obviously, you can single out the two mistakes made by Hines, the interception into triple or quadruple coverage and the slide just before the first down marker. But that was a very impressive looking performance overall from Zach Hines coming in, I thought, from watching that game.
Yeah, all our touchdown passes have been thrown by Zach Hines. So he's done a great job. He commands the huddle very well. He brings a lot of enthusiasm to the offense when he comes in. So I thought he did a lot of good things. Yeah, I think there's a couple plays he'd like to get back in the second half, but that's just a learning process. You know, he hasn't had a lot of reps. He's a sophomore, and he's going to get better and better. And you know, we're waiting to hear about Jay's injury, the extent of it, and when he'll be back and that type of thing. But you know, we're going to prepare, you know, Zach to be our quarterback this week, and I think our offense will be very confident with him, and he can throw a nice ball, as you can see. So hopefully that we can build upon our running game and take a little pressure off of him.
Yeah, absolutely. As we do look ahead to this weekend, opening the road portion of the slate up in Waukesha, Wisconsin against Carroll at 1 o'clock before heading down to Decatur the next Saturday. Titans have not hit the road yet this year, facing obviously a familiar CCW foe in Carroll. Last year, for those who may not remember, quite the dramatic game against the Pioneers here at home on homecoming, trailed 21-0 in the middle of the third quarter and scored 26 unanswered over the last 20-plus minutes of the ball game. Possibly a little more dramatic than you like it, but it was fun either way. How are you preparing both sides of the ball for this weekend against Carroll?
Well, first of all, Carroll is off to a 2-0 start. I'm sure they're very excited. They're very confident. They're going to be playing at home. We are going on the road, and it's an overnight trip for us, which is a little bit different. But we've been on the road a couple times this year. We had both our scrimmage games. One was at Roosevelt University up in Chicago, and the other one was at Benedictine in Lisle. So we've been on the road. But overnights are different. I mean, you're leaving on a Friday and spending the night and so forth. But usually our team travels very well. You know, we respond pretty well on the road. So I don't think that'll be an issue. I just think we have to make sure that we get off to a good start up there. You know, they haven't played the opponents that we've played. They've beaten one team out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin Lutheran, and then they just started the CCIW play against North Park. And North Park game was back and forth. It was a pretty close game. But they are undefeated. We're 0-2, so we're looking to get our first win, and they want to stay undefeated. So it's going to be a good ball game.
Yeah, not an easy place to go play by any means. Those two victories, you mentioned a 51-7 win for our listeners out there over Wisconsin Lutheran on the 9th, and then a 41-27. You said perhaps a game that was even closer than the 14-point final score on Saturday against North Park.
Yeah, they have 8 starters back on defense, 8 starters back on offense, so they're going to be a veteran team. It's basically the same team we saw last year with a couple new players. We got off to a slow start last year, and we did make a quarterback change during that game where Ryan Sachs came in when he was playing quarterback and did a nice job, and we made some big plays, came back, and it was a great homecoming win. I don't think we want to follow that script this year. I think we'd rather, get off to a great start up there. And 2 years ago, we went up there and 21, and we had a chance to win it with the last-second field goal.
Yeah, I do remember that, yes.
And missed it to the left. So, both games have been pretty exciting the last 2 years. So, but it's time for us to kind of break out of our doldrums, I guess. We're doing some good things. We're just not putting everything together. I don't know if you call it bad luck or what, but it's the way the ball bounces, and we have to keep working and keep moving forward. And our team wants to do that. I mean, they want to win. I know they do. Maybe we're pressing too hard, but we need to relax a little bit and get into a flow and get some points on the board. And I think our defense is good. I don't think they had a real good day against Wheaton. I think we missed some tackles, and, that kind of hurt us. But we're ready to get our first CCIW win, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Well, let's go get it in a few days. For all of you who are watching or listening up in the Chicago area, Waukesha is not that far a drive. Make your way up over the border. Catch the Titans in action up at Carroll, 1 p.m. kickoff this Saturday. Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a moment with Titan volleyball senior Lilly Summers.
Hey there, Titan fans. The Titan Streaming Network is looking for new sponsors for the 2023-2024 season. If you are interested in sponsoring the live streams and having your brand or company showcased during the games, don't hesitate to reach out to live stream coordinator Tyler Wilson at twilson2@iwu.edu. Together, we can form a partnership that helps all sides and allows us to continue showcasing and supporting Titan athletics. Thank you, and go Titans!
Welcome back to the third episode of Titan Table Talk this fall. I am joined today by our first of many student-athlete guests this year, Titan volleyball senior Lilly Summers. Lilly, how are we doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. Happy to have you here with us, coming off a pretty exciting week for volleyball. Obviously, a strenuous schedule over the first few weeks of the season, to say the least. But put 4 of the last 5 together for victories, beginning with that big September 9th win over Stevens Point. You can talk a little bit about that big match against the Pointers and how we've kind of carried momentum through the next week and a half.
I think we always go into a game not caring about what number is in front of another team, and I think that really showed in that game. We came out and we played with a lot of heart and a lot of grit, and we have something called dig or die mentality, so it's just going balls to the walls for everything, and that's just what we did, and it really helped us carry out that win, and it was nice to end the weekend on that and then go into practices that week and carry that into this past weekend as well.
Yeah, and this past weekend, as you mentioned, I had the midweek victory over Carroll up in Waukesha to open the CCIW season, and then heading right back up to Wisconsin a few days ago, taking 2 out of 3 up at UW Eau Claire at the Sandy Schumacher tournament. 3-0 victory in straight sets over Wartburg on Friday. Tough one against Buena Vista in the morning, but then bounced right back to beat Hamlin 3-1 in the afternoon. What were some of the adjustments that you guys made from that Buena Vista match, turn around, an hour later and really play much better from what I was able to see on the live stream and on the live stats?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think in that first match, that 10 o'clock match on Saturday, we just weren't making the adjustments that needed to be made within the game. Like, it's one thing to come into a timeout and talk about what we need to do coming out of the timeout or after a set, but getting information from our coaches, like, there was just some disconnect where we just weren't carrying it out and making the changes for things that were unsuccessful. So I think after that match, we had a nice team talk together, hammering in that changes need to be and can be made during the set, and it's about making those changes and adapting to a team as opposed to just going in like one mindset, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's one of those things where when you've dealt with some early season injuries at various positions and getting some early playing time for some talented but less experienced players,
right.
It does take time for things to come together sometimes. And there's a role, obviously, that the coaching staff can play in that, but there's also things that the coaches can't do that the seniors and the captains and the leaders have to take care of behind the scenes, just in terms of picking people up after rough sequences and making sure that they know you still believe in them.
Right.
A lot of those moments so far in the early going for you now as a senior leader?
I would say yes. I mean, it's always like we get technical stuff from coaches and they're the top dogs, so everything kind of comes down from them. But at the end of the day, while I am a senior and a captain, like, I'm still their teammate, I'm still their peer. I respect them, and I hope I have their respect as well. So just being able to have a conversation, just being like, hey, coach is saying this, we got to make that change, but also know that, like, you're here for a reason. They still believe in you. Just because they're telling you something doesn't mean they're mad at you or anything like that. It's just moving past and moving forward. And I think that's kind of new for some of our newcomers, is that Kim's tough love. That's how I would describe her. She's very much so tough love. And that might be new for some of the players. And sometimes she'll tell you what you need to hear. And some players don't like that. But at the end of the day, it's what she gives us. And I know she loves all of us equally at the end of the day. And I think just some of the newcomers and players just need a reminder that she doesn't sit in her office and plan how to make our lives miserable.
Lilly Summers has never been on for the tough love approach at all, of course, either. But, when you said, the coaches are the top dog, how would we feel about me introducing Kim as, instead of head coach, top dog Kim Nelson-Brown on Wednesday's game?
I think that you should do it, and if it goes poorly, you can blame me. But if it's great, take my idea, go for it.
You heard it here first. It is all on Lilly. And looking ahead to this week, finally coming back home to the Shirk Center after 4 straight matches on the road.
Yes.
And a big one this Wednesday, a CCW rivalry game against Carthage, and then the try on Saturday with a 10:30 start against Illinois College in the morning and a 3:30 start against Hope. As you look forward to this week, obviously, come out, pack the place at the Shirk Center. But how are you looking forward and preparing to these 3 teams in practice?
Well, just coming in and starting off strong, making sure that we're dialed in from the first step onto the court and from the first drill. And I'm always a big one on making sure that we're not taking advantage of reps. So whether it's something that's super repetitive or boring, if we're transitioning for 30 minutes, every transition better be just as good as the last one. And we've also been harping a lot on there's no difference between how you play in practice and how you play in a game. It should all just be one mode. So making sure that my teammates are holding themselves accountable and making sure we're all making one mode as opposed to 2, because you can't just show up in a game and magically know how to do something. It starts in practice.
Believe it or not. Yeah, that's true. It's possibly the mind of someone who might end up coaching a little bit in the future. You never know. But if, flipping from the future to the past, and for our listeners and viewers out there, now that we're on our last season of Titan volleyball, thinking back, 4 or 5 years ago to when you were starting to look around at programs to play at, and what was it that first drew you as a high school volleyball player to Illinois Wesleyan?
Well, so both my parents went to Wesleyan, and I was the kid that I was like, I'm not going to your guys' school. Don't put that brochure in front of me. My answer's no. And then I started looking at schools, and I chose nursing as what I wanted to do for my career, and that's a bit of a more strenuous major, and it's not as common for some other colleges. So going smaller was definitely the idea. I also just think the Division III level volleyball, it was a perfect fit for me. And finding Illinois Wesleyan, I wouldn't call it a fluke, but I had just sent an email because I was like, oh, well, they're Division III, they have a good nursing program, why not? And the assistant coach at the time reached out to me, and I came and did a visit, and I fell in love with the Shirk Center. I fell in love with Kim. I fell in love with the idea of walking around on campus. Everything that they talked about during my visit here was amazing, and it was exactly where I wanted to be. And it was even to the point where I went to another college on a visit, and that coach had asked my parents, where they went to school. And they were like, oh, we went to Illinois Wesleyan. And she was like, oh, great volleyball program. And me and my parents just kind of slowly looked at each other and smiled. And they were just like, all right, my decision's made.
That's fantastic. So we can still give Mary Fromm a little bit of the credit for the the initial outreach there too.
Correct.
In addition to Kim and Tyler. And if you're now as a senior, soon to be Titan alumna yourself, sitting in this chair, what is kind of the advice you would give to your freshman and sophomore teammates that maybe they hear from you a lot, or maybe that they haven't heard yet?
I think I say it all the time, but it goes quick. You blink, and I still remember the seniors when I was a freshman, when I was a sophomore, the ones when I was a junior, and now I am one of those seniors. So I think just cherish the time you have and don't take any moment for granted, because it's over before you know it, and then you're a NARP, a non-athletic regular person, as my brothers would say, once the season's over. And I think when I was looking at all my media day pictures and trying to come up with that clever Instagram caption, I was like, I've been playing this game for 15 seasons, and it's weird to think about hanging up the knee pads after this season. So hold on to every moment.
There's always summer sand volleyball for you.
Oh, yes, very true.
We'll never forget, I think it was the year after Tyler graduated. She'd been playing, I don't remember where it was, but she'd been playing for, 3 or 4 hours the night before, and then walks into work the next morning and looks like she can barely move. It was like, we've now made the transition from All-American athlete to retired coach.
Correct.
And you have that to look forward to in your future, so congratulations.
Thank you.
But good luck to you and to the Titan team this week. Once again, come on out to the Shirk Center Wednesday night and all day Saturday for some great volleyball action. Let's go get some wins.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
We'll step aside for a minute and be back soon with Titan golfer Emma Thorman.
Berg drives one in the air to center field. This is down for a base hit. The Titans are going to win the ball game. Ethan Berg walks it off, and the Titans storm all the way back with 9 runs in their last 2 innings. They win it tonight, 13-12.
Welcome back to Titan Table Talk. Our third and final guest of Week 3 is Titan senior golfer and my frequent broadcast partner on baseball and basketball last spring, Emma Thorman. Emma, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Tommy. Glad to be back on the air with you.
I know,
it's different
fun. Different setting, but same concept
yes,
for sure.
Always fun.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, women's golf, as many of you out there may know, is a split-season sport. You have your conference championship in the fall, NCAA's in the spring, but we've got 2 tournaments under our belt so far already here in the middle of September. Open the fall season September 10th and 11th, just up the road at Wybring Golf Course at ISU. And then second tournament of the year out at Ironwood, the IW Fall Classic. Tell us about how the team's been looking, how you felt through these first 4 days of competition.
Yeah, I feel like we've had a really, really strong start. ISU is Division I is a different beast than Division III. Obviously, both still very competitive, but being the only Division III team in the field, it was a tough tournament to start our year with, but we held our own definitely. And I mean, we played 36 holes the first day, which I don't know how many of our team has done that before. So it was we played really well, beat some Division I teams, which is really, really cool. Threw up a really good team score in the second round. Didn't finish necessarily how we would have liked to, but still a really, really good start to the season. Heading into our home tournament the next weekend, this past couple days actually, we put together a really, really strong showing, 290, 297. It's really, really good scores for us. I mean, tied the school record the first round. Obviously would have liked to come out on top, but it's nice to know that we can compete with the top teams in the country, because we are one of the top teams in the country. And to be able to prove that right out of the gate was really, really cool. WashU's the number 2 ranked team in the country, and to hold our own with them, lose to them by 3 shots, obviously stings a little, especially because we were right in it to the very end. But knowing that we're able to compete with those teams this early on in the season is really, really encouraging for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and it was exciting to follow from a couple miles away on campus for sure. I wanted to ask you about that because obviously, going to the Redbird Invite 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago really, it's a high level of competition you're facing. Also, in golf, as in several other sports, there is no defense. So how much does that factor into, just your mentality going into that competition versus how much is it just there's some better golfers around and I got to go play my game?
Yeah, it's a similar mindset. Golf is it's you against the course. It's not necessarily thinking about your playing competitors as much. I honestly felt a lot more pressure this past weekend because I knew we were, one of the top couple favorites to win that tournament. And so kind of at the Division I tournament, we were obviously not expected to do anything, super, super crazy. But I don't know, just going out there and knowing that we can compete with those Division I teams certainly gave us a lot of confidence going into the next weekend. And they're both, Division I to Division III is different. We play different lengths. The competition is different, but the level of competition is more similar than a lot of people would probably think.
Yeah, and it's true across so many sports, certainly, that your higher level Division III athletes, any of them could compete at many Division I, Division II schools. This is not news to any of us here, that's for sure. So I want to switch gears a little bit from competition to practice. And for so many people, I think you think of, golf as going out and playing golf. Well, we're fortunate here also at Illinois Wesleyan, thanks to some generous donors over the last decade, to have both the Blakeman Golf Center and the Wheatrick Skills Lab, now soon to be dedicated. Beautiful simulator setups down in the first floor of the Shirk Center. What does your typical training schedule look like in the fall? How often you're on the course versus how often you're inside working on the simulators, the putting green, or doing anything else?
Yeah, so in the fall when the weather is nice, we qualify at a lot of different courses in town. Bloomington Normal is such a wonderful golf community. There's so many good golf courses here, and we're very, very fortunate to be able to play a lot of them. We qualified at maybe 6 or 7 different courses, which was really, really cool to be able to go see different places. But most of the time we practice at Ironwood. The head pro, Craig, is our assistant coach, and we're very, very fortunate to have him be there all the time, checking in on us, giving us whatever we need. He's wonderful. And in the winter when it gets really cold, I think we're one of the few Division III programs to have facilities like we do. We're extremely, extremely fortunate to have all these donors that are willing to donate money to give us these great things. And it certainly has paid off. Obviously, our men's team has been outrageously successful, and we're getting there too. So that's certainly the golf room and our facilities have a lot to do with that. And wow, we're just really, really lucky.
So as we look forward to what's coming up here over the next month or so, as you wrap up the fall season, get to visit beautiful Century World up in Stevens Point, September 30th and October 1st. And then the equally gorgeous but closer by Metamora Fields for the CCW tournament, and then heading down to Florida just before fall break for the NCAA fall preview down there in Sandestin. Anything that you're going to do specifically to prepare to play those courses? I'm guessing you have quite a bit of experience at Metamora Fields, at least growing up in Macomb. Yes. How much have you been to Century World at all?
I've never been, actually. I'm really, really excited to see this golf course. I've never been. I don't know if anyone on our team has been, but I've seen pictures. It looks so beautiful, so I'm really excited about that venue.
A bunch of my friends took a golf trip up there last year on a week where I was out of town. And it was. I agree. I was a little jealous.
Yeah.
But they had rave reviews, certainly. Are any of those courses that you were able to play on the simulators downstairs, or?
Not Century World, I know. Okay. I think our nationals course this year might be on it. I know the men have practiced on it several times, and we'll definitely rely on them since they had it there last year as well. But yeah, there's a ton of courses on the simulators.
What is, and just throwing this out there for you, what is your top 2 or 3 favorite courses that you've played, whether it's as a Titan golfer or just in your life?
So this summer I was actually fortunate enough to be in northern Michigan, and the golf is really, really beautiful up there. I worked at a very, very beautiful golf course, and there's a lot of prestigious golf courses up there that I was fortunate enough to play. We actually last year in Phoenix played at Desert Mountain, which is a private golf course. It has about 7 different courses. We played the par 3 course there, and it was very, very cool. It felt like, I don't know, all the holes were kind of separate from each other, and you felt like you were just on the golf course by yourself every single hole you were on. It was a kind of a surreal experience. That's definitely up there in my top 3.
There's a few holes at Weaver Ridge where I always felt the same way, where you're just like in a canyon in the middle of, it's not the desert, it's very much a forest and river valley, but it's where you're just out there by yourself.
Yeah, Weaver Ridge is definitely a hidden gem as well around here.
I was actually chatting a little bit with some of the wrestling alums who are back for the homecoming weekend this past Saturday, and one was one of your benefactors down there in Arizona last year. He had his Titan women's golf hat on and was very proud of it and everything, so yes. So I want to chat with you a little bit now, just to let our viewers, our listeners know, okay, we know Emma Thorman, the golfer. Emma Thorman, the person outside of golf, been involved in so many different things here at Illinois Wesleyan, and specifically in the athletic and athletic communications department, getting to do some things that are, nominally extracurricular activities, but really to prepare you for a potential career in that field. Walk us through some of the most fun things you've been able to do with Katie Gonzalez here and with everybody else.
Athletic communications has been a huge part of my experience at Illinois Wesleyan the past 3 years, and I'm really fortunate that she gave me the opportunity to start working in there fall of my freshman year. Definitely calling games. I'm not even just saying this because you're right in front of me, Tommy, but that has definitely been really, really fun for me, and I've had a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things. Even just, I mean, being in the office with everybody. Katie, Meredith, Kelly, Taya, obviously are awesome people, and just spending time with them, talking about sports is probably my favorite thing to do. So getting to do that with them and a lot of different people that I've met here has been really, really special.
Yeah, and of course, the other big part of your fall this year as a senior is student teaching. For those who may not be able to see the sun setting in the background, we're filming this at 5:54 because you've been in school all day at Normal West. And how's that experience been going for you?
It's been good. It's a lot to kind of ease back into the high school schedule when I haven't seen it since early March of my senior year, because that's obviously when the pandemic hit. So getting used to that schedule, being in the classroom that for a lengthy period of time has been taken some getting used to for sure, but my students make it worth it. They always have something to say to put a smile on my face, always something to say to make me laugh, so they definitely make it worth it. It's a lot to juggle, especially during kind of the bulk of golf season right now, but my cooperating teacher is very understanding of that, and he has made my experience really, really cool.
Well, that's good to hear. Certainly, I mean, taking advantage very much. I feel like your experience academically, athletically was very similar to mine was here, in that you're doing education, have some interest in the athletic communications and broadcasting side as well. I am not the golfer that you are. But give me another 20 years and maybe I'll inch that much closer. We'll see. So for those who want to come on out and check out the Titans, the next time you guys will be in Central Illinois is at the CCW Championship out at Metamora Fields. Not a bad drive. Get some Uncle Bob's ice cream along the way, perhaps, as well. And a beautiful place to go, hopefully, watch the Titan team claim another CCW championship and NCAA berth. For those who just want to hear more Emma Thorman content, I'm sure we'll be on the air together quite a bit this spring as well, hopefully calling some Titan baseball, maybe a couple other sports. Emma, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck in everything this fall.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.